It's another Blade Show Weekend TWOFER. This time visiting Kizer to check out two brand new, very different fixed blades. You're going to want to see my thoughts on these ones, folks. Stick around. What it do, Kripple Krew? EDC with DVD, disabled but deadly. And that's right, it's another Blade Show Weekend TWOFER, this time from Kizer and looking at fixed blades. Before we get into that, two things. I want to give a shout out to my boy Bladed Ginger and thank him for going live with us on the Saturday live stream and taking a walk around Blade Show with us. Just wanted to show off his awesome DEF CON Cardington and remind you all that this is for sale. I do have a video up on it, but I do plan on posting another soon. Also, just wanted to remind everybody, if you didn't know, our brother and sister, Bluminati Ninja and Twisted Sis, had their house struck by a tornado this weekend. There's going to be some fundraising stuff to help. But if you want to help them right now, there will be a PayPal link for them in the description of this video and in the pinned comment. Anything that you can send is going to help them in this really, really difficult time. All right. Also, reach out to them on Instagram. Let them know you're thinking about them. Love you guys. You're in our prayers. Okay. Now, we are going to start off with a blade from our homeboy, Johan Jordaan. Remember telling you guys that you were going to see a lot of this maker's mark. And he currently has, I believe, 7 knives that have dropped, with quite a few more on the way. And the Kizer Kwaiken is a fixie coming in with an overall length of 7.88 inches with a blade length of 3.94 inches and a Kwaiken style blade of, in this case, D2 steel, featuring a flat grind and a black wash finish. We have a handle length of 3.94 inches, so the exact same length as our blade. And in this case, scales of orange G10. There's a couple different mixtures with micarta and G10. And then I believe there's even NitroV. I will have these linked below if they're not sold out. I think this version, this Amazon version exclusive, the orange and black, is the only one not currently sold out. And I think these are under $50 on Amazon. I'll link that below, and I'll pop up. I'll make sure to put the actual price on the video. It'll pop up, but I believe it's under 50. We have a blade stock thickness of 130 thousandths, a weight of 2.62 ounces, and hardness. Oh yes, there is definitely NitroV versions. I'm seeing that right now. I don't see the hardness listed for the D2. I see the hardness listed for the NitroV as 60 to 61, which is exactly where you'd want to see that steel. Our scales are removable, and these are T8. Yep. It is, as you can see, a full tang design. We do have a spot on the end for a lanyard or to act as a little bit of a, an attitude adjuster. We do have a short row of jimping that, with this diamond pattern on the G10, does definitely lock me in. I said micarta on this. There's no micarta. There's two different G10s that you can get on the Kizer website, one that's a black and yellow and one that's just black, and then there's this version on Amazon. So if I said micarta, I take that back. But in this grip right here with this jimping and a saber grip, I do feel very locked in, and I don't feel like I would slide if I was doing any thrusting moves. This is very neutral handle. So any way you grip it's going to be comfortable. Very slim. I don't want to say necessarily comfortable for every grip because of the slimness. Some people might find it a little harder to grip in certain situations. But in a beef jerky Avenger, I am capped off over that, and I don't feel like I'm going to slide at all. And if I rock that around into a beef jerky Defender, I still cap off on the butt end, and that texture really does feel like it locks me in. Now, while this is definitely something that you could use as your EDC knife, the Kwaiken, I mean, it's a tactical blade. It's a beef jerky defense style blade with a very high pokey tip. It's meant for poking and slashing. But for EDC tasks, you do have some belly to use on a flat surface. And even though we have a very high tip, I mean, I can get it down in a utility cut. I just really got to kick that knife up. That tip is nice and fine for detailed work. I will admit, a Kwaiken has never quite been my style of knife, but I do believe that he did well on the design, my homeboy Johan Jordaan. A couple things that I want to point out. This sharpening choil and plunge grind could have been done a little bit better. They could have, the plunge grind starts here, as you can see, and it terminates out here. They could have brought that termination back more and given you a little bit more sharpening life before it's starting to widen up. But you could always adjust that yourself because it's a fixed blade. And my other negative, which might be a positive for some folks, is this sheath. So we have a 2-piece pancake style sheath with plenty of attachments and a retention screw here, an adjustable retention screw, and a mini Tech Lock style clip, adjustable for different belt widths. And of course, you can turn it. I'm only really going to show this clip once because it's on our other sheath as well. But you can remove these. You can turn this. You can carry the knife vertically as it's set up now. Carry it on a strap. You can turn this. You can carry the knife horizontally, scout style, or appendix carry. And this will take, I mean, you could take this off and you could carry this as a neck knife. We do have a drain hole in our Kydex sheath. You could put an ulti clip on here. You could throw pull dot straps, anything you wanted to do. But they should have made this a single piece taco sheath like they did on our next knife. And I'm going to compare the sheath to that one in a minute. And you'll see why I do not understand why they went with this sheath at all on this knife. It completely takes away from what this knife is made for, or is all about. You've got this beautiful, slim, sleek design, and then this giant sheath. I don't get it. I'm going to give you a couple size comparisons real quick. How about my Aries EDC Spike, my belt knife, Lagatha, and as you can see, the Kwaiken is quite a fair bit longer than Lagatha, quite a bit larger than most of my usual EDC fixies. How about my newest EDC fixie that I'm having a blast with, the Molsec Noise? Again, being an EDC fixie, comes in quite a bit shorter. I'll give you another size comparison that's going to be much closer. We'll look at the Elementum fixed blade from Civivi. And the Elementum fixed blade is only slightly longer than the Kwaiken. So the Kwaiken is definitely longer than I would usually carry on me as an EDC fixie. But with it being a very good design for self-defense, I could see myself carrying this on my belt still. It's thin enough that I could carry this on my belt with the handle directly in front of my belt buckle if this sheath were slimmer. All right, we're going to move on to our second knife now and look at the Kizer Ursa Major. This is a Maksim Epifantsev design, and the Ursa Major comes in at 9.13 inches overall length with a 4.43 inch blade and clip point blade, in this case of AEB-L, but there is a few options. I'll talk about that in a moment. We have a flat grind and a beautiful satin finish on this. We have a handle length coming in at 4.7 inches and a weight of 5.85 inches. Our blade stock thickness on this is 160 thousandths. This is definitely a beefier knife. This is made to be an outdoors knife. You know, it definitely reminds me of an old fighting Bowie. Nowadays, this would be a great backpacking bushcraft camping knife. It would excel at that. This comes with either G10 or micarta scales. The micarta comes with a NitroV, and that is the most expensive. There is a micarta, black micarta, and NitroV is the most expensive at $79. There's two G10 and AEB-L versions that come in at $69. And then there's an Amazon exclusive green G10 with black wash D2 that comes in at only $49. I think all of those are fantastic prices. And even though I prefer micarta a little bit over G10 normally, and I don't have a problem with D2, I think that this G10 and AEB-L version would be the choice I went with, because the way that they have contoured and chamfered this G10 just feels great. We've got the lines milled in to help with traction, plus, you know, the typical G10 texture. You can see these beautifully chamfered curved edges here, and then it just fits well in the hand. This is my extra large, I wear an extra large size glove. This is me choked up to that guard right there. I can choke farther back if I needed to do some chopping. If you had larger hands than mine, you'd still fit on this comfortably. Turning it around is very comfortable. In a beef jerky Avenger, I am absolutely locked in and capped off. And then in a beef jerky Defender grip, still locked in, still capped off. I do not feel like I'm going anywhere near that blade if I were to get some beef jerky juice on this. We also have a beautifully chamfered forward end on those scales that allows for a very comfortable pinch grip, either for getting some cuts down like that or for any skinning. This is a great hunting knife. We've got a tip for piercing, got some belly, and for skinning, we've got some nice flat here for slicing. And that 160 thousandths blade stock does come down, if I could find a straight edge to cut, to a nice slicey edge. Kizer always does a good job with their edges, and AEB-L is a steel that is going to be very tough. It's going to take a wicked edge and be able to strop back. It's not going to hold it for the longest amount of time, but it's also going to be corrosion resistant. This AEB-L is being done at 58 to 59 HRC, which for a big fixed blade that you might be doing chopping and stuff with is perfect to get you a good balance of toughness and the most edge retention that you can ask for out of this steel for a fixed blade. We have multiple lashing positions here. You can do a standard lanyard off the back here. You can do one off the bottom here if you wanted. You've got lashing point up here. You can have a strap come back like a thong on your wrist to hold it on for chopping. You can have one down here looped around your wrist in case you drop the knife. You also have two even spots so that you could even lash this to a handle if you wanted to and have a nice long spear. We do have chunky jimping up here. It has been softened a bit, but it is very comfortable. And I can feel this jimping on the butt end of the blade as well, or butt end of the hilt as well when I'm locked in. And I don't feel like this knife is going anywhere. We have a 90-degree spine for striking a ferrocerium rod off of so that you can get sparks to start a fire. We still have removable scales, which is great. You really want it for a hunting knife. If you get any beef jerky juice underneath the scales, you'll be able to clean it easily. T8s once again. And speaking of, we have a 1/4-inch bit driver in the hilt as well. So in an emergency situation, you've got a 1/4-inch bit driver on you, at least. Now, let's talk about the sheath. Remember the gigantic taco sheath from the Kwaiken. Look at this, or pancake. I said taco. That's a pancake sheath. Look at this beautiful taco that they did on the Ursa Major. A knife you're much more likely to hook to a pack or a plate carrier than you would be the Kwaiken. We have the same Tech-Lock style clip, but if they had done a single piece of Kydex like they did here for this Kwaiken, look how much slimmer they could have made that sheath, and it would have just disappeared on your belt or wherever you had it. But as it is, our Kwaiken sheath is as tall as our Ursa Major sheath, and that makes no sense to me. I just make it make sense. We have beautiful push off, fantastic retention, no rattle. Let's check that with the Kwaiken. We have nice solid click, no rattle, easy push off, just the wrong style sheath. All right, let's do some size comparisons. How about compare them to each other? And you can really see the size difference there. Of course, two knives for two totally different purposes. We will once again throw out my Lady Lagatha, also an AEB-L steel. This one's, of course, an Aries EDC custom knife, however. She's such a good knife. Few more. Here is that Elementum fixed blade. The Ursa Major is going to be quite a bit larger. And two more of my largest fixed blades. We'll look at the Dam Designs Finrear Fixie, which is just a little shorter than the Ursa Major, and the Countycom R4A. All of these knives that I just pulled out have taco sheaths, by the way, like they should. And the R4A is a fair amount smaller. Countycom, you can use my links in the description below to save money on the R4A. They have glow in the dark, the micarta G10 carbon fiber, but now they even have the compact ready for action. That one's more of an EDC size. All right. My thoughts on these two knives. As a guy that just has never been into this slim, sleek design, I'm not a big CEO style knife fan either. It really isn't my style, but I do think the knife is done well. If the Kwaiken is your style, it feels great in hand, and the texture on the G10 really is fantastic for any grip. I do wish they'd done a taco sheath, but of course it's not a total deal breaker. And I do want to point out that that was probably a Kizer decision, not my homeboy Johan. The Ursa Major, if you are an outdoor type person, if you do hunting, if you do backpacking, if you do camping, if you do any type of survival stuff, this is a beautiful knife for it. And I think the price range of $59 to $79 is absolutely fair for the amount of steel you're getting. This is going to be strong enough to pierce, to chop, to slash. Anything you want to do with it. You've still got a nice back, a nice exposed bit of 160 thousandths blade stock steel for some attitude adjusting or door knocking. Just a great knife. The scales feel phenomenal. I think the blade is done very well, and they nailed it on the sheath. If you do anything outdoors, the Ursa Major is a great knife for it. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? I'd like to know what you think about these two knives and what you thought about Blade Show this weekend. Have a killer day, night, morning, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Stay safe, stay frosty. Most importantly, stay deadly.